The way you handle money has almost nothing to do with how smart you are. It has almost nothing to do with what you learned in school. It has almost nothing to do with formulas or spreadsheets or financial advice from experts. The way you handle money comes down to how you think. And here is the problem. Most of us think about money in ways that are completely broken. We make the same mistakes over and over again. Not because we are stupid, not because we do not care, but because our brains are wired in ways that made sense thousands of years ago but make no sense in a world with credit cards and stock markets and retirement accounts. Our ancestors needed to think about survival today. They needed to grab resources now because tomorrow was never guaranteed. That kind of thinking kept them alive. But that same thinking makes us terrible at building wealth in the modern world. I am going to walk you through 20 mental errors that almost everyone makes when it comes to money and value. These are not small mistakes. These are fundamental problems with how human beings process financial decisions. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. And once you understand them, you have a chance to actually change your behavior. So let us get into it. The first mental error is thinking that more money will solve your money problems. This sounds completely backwards, right? If you do not have enough money, obviously more money would help. But here is what actually happens. People get raises. People get better jobs. People come into unexpected money. And within a few months, they are right back where they started. They feel just as stressed about money as before. They still feel like they do not have enough. This is because spending tends to rise to meet income. It is called lifestyle inflation, and it happens to almost everyone without them even noticing. You make more, so you spend more. You upgrade your car. You move to a nicer apartment. You eat at better restaurants. You buy clothes that cost twice as much. And suddenly you need that higher income just to maintain your new normal. The problem was never really about the amount of money. The problem was about the relationship with money. Until you fix that relationship, no amount will ever feel like enough. There are people making $50,000 a year who feel financially secure, and people making $500,000 a year who feel like they are drowning. The difference is not the number. The difference is what is happening inside their heads. The second mental error is confusing being rich with being wealthy. Most people use these words like they mean the same thing, but they do not. Being rich means you have a high income right now. You make a lot of money. Being wealthy means you have money saved and invested. You have assets that work for you. Here is why this matters. A doctor making $400,000 a year who spends $400,000 a year is rich, but not wealthy. They have a nice life right now, but if the income stops, everything falls apart within months. A teacher making $60,000 a year who has been saving and investing for 20 years might have $1 million in investments. They look normal from the outside. They drive a regular car and live in a regular house. But they are actually wealthy. They could stop working tomorrow and be fine. We see rich people everywhere because rich is visible. Big houses, fancy cars, expensive clothes. Wealth is invisible because wealth is what you do not spend. Wealth is the money you could have spent but chose not to. This confusion makes people chase the wrong thing. They want to look rich instead of actually becoming wealthy. And those two paths lead to completely different places. The third mental error is thinking you can predict the future. Everyone does this with money. We make plans based on assumptions about what will happen. We assume we will keep our jobs. We assume the economy will keep growing. We assume that investment will keep going up. We assume we will stay healthy. We assume our marriages will last. We assume our kids will not need expensive help. But the biggest financial events in most people's lives are things they never saw coming. The pandemic that shut down businesses overnight, the medical emergency that wiped out savings, the divorce that split everything in half, the industry that became obsolete, the investment that seemed safe until it was not. The future is not something you can predict. It is something you have to prepare for. And preparing for it means accepting that you have no idea what is actually going to happen. The best financial plans are not the ones that assume everything will go perfectly. The best financial plans are the ones that still work when things go wrong. They build in room for error. They expect the unexpected. They plan for bad luck. The fourth mental error is thinking that financial success is mostly about knowledge. People think if they just learn enough, they will make good financial decisions. If they read enough books, if they take enough courses, if they understand enough about investing. But knowledge is almost never the limiting factor. The limiting factor is behavior. You can know exactly what you should do and still not do it. You can know you should save more and spend less and still do the opposite. You can know you should not panic sell when the market crashes and still sell everything in a panic. You can know you should not buy things you cannot afford and still pull out the credit card. This is because money decisions are emotional decisions. They happen in the part of your brain that does not care about what you learned in a book. They happen in the part of your brain that wants things now, that fears loss, that seeks status, that responds to social pressure. Knowledge is useful, but only if you can actually act on it when it matters. And acting on it when it matters is the hard part that most people never figure out. The fifth mental error is thinking that investing is about finding the best returns. This seems logical. You want your money to grow as much as possible, so you should find the investments with the highest returns. But here is the problem. The best returns on paper are often investments you cannot actually stick with. A highly volatile investment might give amazing returns over 20 years, but it also might drop 50% in a single year. And when it drops 50%, you panic and sell. You lock in your losses. You miss the recovery. You would have been better off with a boring investment that gave lower returns, but that you could actually hold on to during the bad times. The best investment is not the one with the highest potential return. The best investment is the one you can stick with. It is the one that lets you sleep at night. It is the one that you will not abandon when things get scary. A good investment you can hold is better than a great investment you will sell at the worst possible time. The sixth mental error is thinking you need to be perfect with money. People set these impossible standards for themselves. They think they need to budget every dollar, track every expense, never buy anything frivolous, optimize every financial decision. And then, when they inevitably fall short because they are human beings with human weaknesses, they give up entirely. They think, why bother if I cannot do it perfectly? But financial success is not about perfection. It is about being good enough consistently over a long time. You do not need to save the maximum possible amount. You need to save something and keep doing it. You do not need to find the perfect investment. You need to find a reasonable one and stick with it. You do not need to eliminate all unnecessary spending. You need to spend less than you make. Good enough beats perfect because perfect is impossible and good enough is sustainable. The person who saves 10% of their income every single month for 40 years will end up far ahead of the person who tries to save 50%, fails, gives up, and saves nothing. The seventh mental error is thinking short-term when you need to think long-term. The human brain is wired for immediate rewards. We want things now. We feel pain now and we want relief now. We see something we want and we want it now. This made sense for our ancestors. If you found food, you ate it immediately because it might be gone tomorrow. But this short-term thinking is terrible for building wealth. Building wealth requires doing things now that will not pay off for years or even decades. It means saving money you could spend today so you can have more money in 30 years. It means not buying the bigger house now so you can retire earlier later. It means investing in yourself through education or skills, even though the payoff is years away. Every financial decision is really a choice between your present self and your future self. And most people consistently choose their present self. They discount the future. They think their future self will figure it out. But your future self is you. And every time you choose immediate gratification over long-term benefit, you are stealing from yourself. The eighth mental error is comparing yourself to others. This might be the most dangerous mistake on this entire list. We constantly look at what other people have, what they drive, where they live, where they go on vacation, what they wear, and we feel like we need to match it. We feel like we are falling behind if we do not have what they have. But here is what you do not see. You do not see their debt. You do not see their stress. You do not see that they are living paycheck to paycheck despite appearances. You do not see that their marriage is falling apart because of money fights. You do not see that they lie awake at night panicking about how they will pay for everything. You are comparing your inside to their outside. You are comparing your reality to their performance. Most people you think are doing better than you financially are not actually doing better. They are just spending more. They are just willing to go into more debt to look successful. The only comparison that matters is you versus you. Are you better off than you were last year? Are you making progress toward your own goals? Everything else is just noise that will make you miserable and broke. The ninth mental error is not understanding the power of time. People dramatically underestimate how much time matters when it comes to money. Here is a simple example. If you invest $10,000 and it grows at 7% per year, here is what happens. After 10 years, you have about 20,000. After 20 years, you have about 40,000. After 30 years, you have about 80,000. After 40 years, you have about 160,000. After 50 years, you have about 320,000. That original 10,000 became 32 times larger. But notice how most of the growth happened at the end. The money more than doubled just in that last decade. This is compound growth. It is not just your money growing. It is your money growing on top of your previous growth, growing on top of the growth before that. And this only works if you give it time. Every year you wait to start is a year of growth you can never get back. Starting early with small amounts beats starting late with large amounts almost every time. Time is the most powerful force in wealth building, and you cannot buy more of it. The 10th mental error is thinking that you cannot get wealthy on a normal salary. People believe you need to make a lot of money to build wealth. You need a 6-figure income. You need to start a business. You need to get lucky. But this is not true. Most millionaires are not doctors or lawyers or tech executives. They are normal people with normal jobs who did something unusual. They spent less than they made for a very long time. They saved the difference. They invested it. They let time do its work. And they did not blow it when they started seeing big numbers. A teacher who saves 20% of their income for 30 years and invests it in simple index funds will retire wealthy. A doctor who spends everything they make and goes into debt for a lifestyle will retire broke. Income matters less than the gap between what you make and what you spend. A large income is useless if you spend it all. A modest income is plenty if you keep part of it. Wealth is not about what you earn. It is about what you keep. The 11th mental error is believing you deserve things because you work hard. This is a tricky one because hard work should be rewarded. And feeling like you deserve nice things is natural. But this feeling is also how people go broke. They work long hours. They deal with stress and difficult situations. And at the end of it, they feel like they have earned the right to spend money on themselves. They deserve the vacation. They deserve the new car. They deserve the expensive dinner. They deserve the shopping spree. The problem is that deserving something and being able to afford it are completely different things. You might absolutely deserve a nice vacation after the year you had. But if that vacation puts you into debt or wipes out your emergency fund, it does not matter that you deserve it. Deserving does not change math. You can deserve things and still choose not to buy them because the timing is wrong or the money is not there. Hard work should be rewarded with financial security, not with stuff that puts financial security further out of reach. The 12th mental error is being too afraid of all risk. Some people hear about financial risks and decide the safest thing is to avoid everything. They keep all their money in a savings account. They never invest in stocks because stocks can go down. They never start a business because businesses can fail. They never buy property because property values can drop. They feel safe because they are not taking any risks. But here is the truth. Not taking risks is itself a risk. A savings account that pays almost no interest loses value every year because of inflation. The purchasing power of that money goes down over time. You feel like you are protecting it, but it is actually shrinking. Meanwhile, people who accepted some risk and invested in broad market index funds have seen their money multiply over decades. Yes, there were scary drops along the way. Yes, there were years when everything went down. But over the long run, accepting reasonable risk was the safer choice of risk. This is the opposite problem. Some people hear about big returns and dive in without thinking. They put all their money in one stock that someone recommended. They invest in something they do not understand because they heard it was going up. They use leverage and borrowed money to amplify their bets. They take risks they cannot afford to take. When it works, they feel like geniuses. When it does not work, they lose everything. And here is the important thing. It does not matter how smart you are or how much research you did. There is always a chance you are wrong. There is always a chance something unexpected happens. If you take a risk where being wrong means losing everything, eventually you will be wrong and you will lose everything. The smart approach to risk is making sure you can survive being wrong. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. Never take a risk where the downside is catastrophic, even if the upside is amazing. You have to stay in the game long enough for the odds to work in your favor. One catastrophic loss ends the game permanently. The 14th mental error is thinking you can time the market. This means trying to buy when prices are low and sell when prices are high. It sounds so simple. Why would anyone do anything else? But here is the problem. No one can consistently predict when prices are at the top or bottom. No one. Not professional investors, not hedge fund managers, not the smartest economists in the world. They all try and they all fail regularly. Studies show that most professional money managers fail to beat the market over time. If they cannot do it with all their resources and expertise, you probably cannot do it either. And the cost of getting it wrong is huge. Missing just the best few days in the market can cut your returns dramatically. Those best days often come right after the worst days, when everyone is scared and selling. If you sold during the bad times, you miss the recovery. Most regular people who try to time the market end up doing worse than if they had just bought and held. They sell at the bottom out of fear. They buy at the top out of greed. They would have been better off doing nothing at all. The 15th mental error is ignoring the role of luck and circumstance. People who are financially successful often think they earned it entirely through their own efforts, their decisions, their work ethic, their intelligence. And yes, those things matter, but they are not the whole story. What country were you born in? What decade were you born in? What opportunities were available to you? Who did you happen to meet? What random events happened to break your way? Someone born in a wealthy country in a time of economic growth has a massive head start over someone born in poverty during a recession. Someone who happened to graduate right before a boom has an advantage over someone who graduated into a terrible job market. This is not about making excuses or denying that effort matters. Effort absolutely matters. But so does luck. Acknowledging the role of luck makes you more humble about your successes and more compassionate about other people's struggles. It also helps you plan better because you realize that your past success does not guarantee future success. Things can change in ways you do not control. The 16th mental error is not having enough margin in your financial life. Margin means room for error. It means not operating right at the edge where any small problem becomes a crisis. Most people have almost no margin. They spend almost everything they make. If their income dropped by 10%, they could not pay their bills. If an unexpected expense came up, they would have to go into debt. If they lost their job, they would be in serious trouble within weeks. Living without margin feels fine when everything is going well. But everything does not always go well. Cars break down. Medical emergencies happen. Jobs disappear. The economy struggles. Relationships end. When you have no margin, any of these normal life events becomes a financial catastrophe. Building margin means spending less than you could. It means having savings you could theoretically spend but choose not to. It means being okay with a smaller house or cheaper car than you could technically afford. It feels inefficient when times are good. It feels like you are leaving money on the table. But margin is what gets you through the bad times without losing everything you built during the good times. The 17th mental error is thinking about price instead of value. People get obsessed with finding the lowest price. They will drive across town to save a few dollars on gas. They will spend hours finding the cheapest option for something they rarely use. They will buy lower quality items because they cost less. But price and value are not the same thing. Value is what you get divided by what you pay. A cheap thing that breaks immediately and needs to be replaced has terrible value even though it had a low price. An expensive thing that lasts for decades and works perfectly the whole time might be amazing value even though it costs more up front. Smart financial decisions are about value, not price. Sometimes the cheap option is the best value. Sometimes it is not. The question is not, how little can I spend? The question is, what is the best use of this money, considering everything, including quality and longevity, and how much I will actually use it? This same thinking applies to time. Spending 5 hours to save $20 is not a good value of your time. Your time is worth more than $4 an hour. The 18th mental error is not understanding what money is actually for. People chase money without ever stopping to think about why. What is the point? What do you want money to do for you? For most people, if you really dig into it, money is about freedom. It is about options. It is about being able to say no to things you do not want to do. It is about being able to say yes to things that matter to you. It is about security and peace of mind. It is about taking care of people you love. But somehow we forget this. We chase money for its own sake. We accumulate for the sake of accumulating. We sacrifice the things money is supposed to buy, like time with family and health and experiences and peace, in order to get more money. We trade the ends for the means. The richest life is not necessarily the one with the most money. It is the one where money is being used effectively to support what actually matters to you. That requires knowing what actually matters to you. It requires having values beyond just more. The 19th mental error is making big financial decisions based on emotions. Humans are emotional creatures. We make emotional decisions and then come up with logical sounding reasons for them afterwards. This is fine for a lot of life, but it is dangerous with money. Fear makes you sell investments at the worst possible time. Greed makes you buy at the top when everything is overvalued. Envy makes you spend money trying to impress people you do not even like. Excitement makes you rush into purchases without thinking. Shame makes you avoid dealing with financial problems until they get much worse. The solution is not to eliminate emotions. That is impossible. The solution is to build systems that protect you from your own emotional decisions. Automate your savings so you do not have to decide each month. Set rules for yourself about waiting periods before big purchases. Decide in advance what you will do when markets drop. Make the important decisions when you are calm and then follow the plan when you are not. Your emotional self cannot be trusted with major financial decisions in the moment. Your calm, rational self needs to make the decisions ahead of time. The 20th mental error is thinking your circumstances are unique, so normal rules do not apply. Everyone thinks their situation is special. Yes, the normal advice is to save money, but my expenses are unusually high. Yes, I should not buy this, but I have a unique reason why it makes sense. Yes, people should invest for the long term, but my situation is different. Sometimes circumstances really are different and adjustments need to be made. But most of the time, this is just a story we tell ourselves to justify doing what we wanted to do anyway. The basic rules of money work for almost everyone in almost every situation. Spend less than you make. Save the difference. Invest it simply and hold for a long time. Avoid debt for things that do not increase in value. Have an emergency fund. Protect against catastrophic risks. These rules do not stop working just because you feel like your life is unique. Everyone's life feels unique to them, and the rules still apply. So there you have it. 20 ways our brains mess up when it comes to money. And the scary thing is that knowing about these errors is not enough to avoid them. Even after reading all of this, you will still feel the pull of lifestyle inflation. You will still compare yourself to others. You will still be tempted to time the market. You will still make emotional decisions you later regret. These tendencies are deep in us. They are part of how human brains work. But awareness helps. When you feel the urge to upgrade your lifestyle after a raise, you can notice what is happening. You can pause. You can make a different choice. When you feel the fear pushing you to sell during a market crash, you can recognize the pattern. You can remind yourself of your long-term plan. You can choose to do nothing instead of something stupid. Building wealth is less about intelligence and more about behavior. It is less about finding the perfect investment and more about being consistent over time. It is less about earning more and more about keeping what you earn. It is less about predicting the future and more about preparing for anything. And maybe most importantly, It is about understanding why you want money in the first place. What kind of life are you trying to build? What actually matters to you? What would you do with financial freedom if you had it? Money is a tool. It is not good or evil on its own. What matters is what you do with it and what you sacrifice for it. Some people sacrifice their relationships for money. Some sacrifice their health. Some sacrifice decades of their life working jobs they hate just to buy things they do not need to impress people they do not like. That is not success. That is a trap. Real financial success is having enough money to support a life you actually want to live. For some people, that requires millions. For others, it requires much less. The number is different for everyone because what people want from life is different. Figure out what you actually want. Understand the mental errors that will try to knock you off course. Build systems to protect yourself from your own worst tendencies. And then be patient. Wealth is built slowly by people who stick with it for a long time. There are no real shortcuts. There is no hack that skips the hard parts. But if you can avoid these 20 mental errors, even some of the time, you will be ahead of most people. Most people never examine their relationship with money. Most people just react emotionally to whatever is happening. Most people will make these same mistakes over and over until they die. You do not have to be most people. Now drop that comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it? Let us see how far this video reaches. And if any of this made you think even a little bit differently about money, share it with someone who needs to hear it. This stuff matters. It actually changes lives when people get it. Until next time, take care of your money so your money can take care of you.